So Jupiter is coming back into Pisces this week on the 28th. And I want to talk about in this video just the ramifications of that, some of the ideas, the turnings, the things we might expect or might want to consider with Jupiter re-entering its water domicile, Pisces, the mutable water sign. And so, yeah, let's get started here and just check out this first major point, which is that Jupiter's run through Pisces has been really strange this year, really 2 years, because it's been broken up into three chunks. We've had 14 May to 28 July in 2021. The summer of 2021 was that first taste, that first, dose of Jupiter in Pisces. Then it was the end of December in 2021 and into May 2022, 11 May 2022. This was the the second section of Jupiter in Pisces. Then Jupiter went into Aries, and now it's about to go back into Pisces on the 28th of October until 20 December, the day before the winter solstice here in 2022. And that's a point just to say here, your solstice celebrations this year, I think, will take on a Jupiterian tone, a celebration of Jupiter's move and finishing in its domicile Pisces. Remember, Jupiter's once every 12 years. And so this is really a 12-year chance to directly engage this part of our charts, the Piscean, the Jupiterian ruled by domicile houses of the chart. And so, just keep that in mind. I'm going to, I think, very much think about the solstice this year as a kind of Jupiter solstice. And so, yeah, what did I have here in this tweet? To prepare for its final stint in the sign of the fishes, we might want to review these dates. Just think about your own life. How were 14 May, 28 July 2021, 29 December, 11 May 2022, because that's going to prepare you for this November, December moment here at the end of 2022 and Jupiter's final little stint in Pisces. I say here, themes may be returning. I mean, that's just how astrology works. When a planet is in a sign, often there can be echoes and themes. And so look for those clues, echoes, and themes as you prepare for the ingress this week. And here's the chart, 28 October 2022. You can see that Jupiter is right here, back there at the edge of Pisces. It's not going to spend the time here will only be in these 2 degrees, the last degree, the 30th degree, and the 29th degree. That's as far as Jupiter will get. But during its time, it makes a square to Mars. I think that gives this even a rougher edge, a push with this Mars retrograde story, that Jupiter is there doing Jupiterian expansive things as it dynamically engages with Mars. It might mean that your Jupiter in Pisces is a little bit more, could be some acrimony, disputes, working with Mars and engaging Mars with this last part of Jupiter in Pisces. It would not surprise me if that comes up for a lot of folks. And then you'll have these eclipses. So Jupiter comes back on the 28th, after 3 days after the solar eclipse. So it's in between eclipses. And then the second eclipse will include Jupiter in Pisces fully. So it's a part of our eclipse story. Now, let's go and try to delineate Jupiter a little bit. Let's use some of these ancient astrologers. Antiochus of Athens. Everybody knows I like Antiochus. He talks about Jupiter being here. Zeus is the overseer, possessions and abundance. And, that is, I guess, a core signification according to Antiochus. Let's shift to Vedius Valens. Here's Vedius Valens. You type in Vedius Valens Riley PDF into your search engine. In this case, it's the third link. It's his anthology book 1. And I like Valens. He writes a lot more about Jupiter and Pisces, but he says here, engendering. I think it's my favorite word for Jupiter. It's creating things. Jupiter is creative. It makes things come into being. And desire, right? Through desire, what we see and want, then we actually can actualize when we clarify desire, when we see something in the mind's eye. This is Jupiter. It's when we get quiet and think about what we want to bring about into the world. It's the planning, the large-scale visioning. And then he has here loves, political ties. There's a whole host of other significations, but I wanted to highlight political ties and engendering. It's creating things with these echelons of society where people have power and control. He even says here friendships with great men. And So, we're dealing with this prosperity, abundance, desire, generating things, greatness, important men, powerful people, of all kinds. And this is what I want to dive into just in the video here, is that it's when we look back at the echo, the thing about the Jupiter-Saturn cycle is that it's repeating every 59 years. And so we can go back to October 1962 when Jupiter was in Pisces and Saturn was in Aquarius the last time before now. And what happened? Well, this was that Cuban Missile Crisis. And I love this Cuban Missile Crisis chart because you have the nodes also in the fixed axis like they are here in 2022. And in this chart, it was a Saturn-Mars opposition very close to those nodes. But in terms of these two, we call them great planets in the ancient system, Saturn and Jupiter. Those great planets were in the same signs as they are right now. And I tweeted this in November 2021. I've been thinking about this Cuban Missile Crisis echo for a long, long time. And so when it happened, it didn't really surprise me. Let me just go back here. Sorry, the Cuban Missile Crisis, what was it? The reason why it's so important is because it remains a defining moment in national security and nuclear war preparation. The confrontation is often considered the closest the Cold War came to escalating into a full-scale nuclear war. And so right away, you're dealing with a power Saturn in Aquarius, a power Jupiter in Pisces, these two great planets bringing reality to contemplate these very high level important ideas. What is life? What does it mean to be alive? How does society function to keep people alive, given that the world includes weapons of mass destruction, right? These are two themes that you might consider when you think about Jupiter and Saturn being so powerful together. And it fit with the Cold War, right? The two great planets, both powerful. Yeah, the Cold War, two superpowers, both powerful. But, we're thinking here about this echo that we're living through. And look at the news stories that have come out here in October 2022, 60 years after the Cuban Missile Crisis. Russia's threats reignite Cold War fears. So it's the echo in the headlines. You have these are just stories from today. I've typed nuke in, search news. If Putin orders a nuke, will his generals obey? U.S. in a hurry to reach nuke agreement. How the world will know if Russia is preparing to launch a nuke. So there's all this discussion about the nuclear weapons. And the last time it was this kind of heightened was when Jupiter and Saturn were in these exact same signs. And so here's another story. This just came out today before I recorded, but Russia has called a bunch of ally or Western countries and is telling them, hey, Ukraine plans to detonate a dirty nuclear bomb on its territory and blame Russia. And then, of course, other commentators are saying, well, that's what Russia's going to do. They're going to detonate it and blame Ukraine. So we're in a weird time where everybody's accusing everybody else of the one that's going to have dropped it first. Now, nothing's been dropped, but the fact that there is this posturing, Cold War style, here we are on the cusp of Jupiter coming back into Pisces. And, I think, this is just the main point of the rest of the video. I kind of want to think about attitudinally how we can approach Jupiter coming back into Pisces. What might it be good for? How can we use it to access these higher level truths, the wisdom, as we grapple with headlines that might be really scary and terrifying? Remember, it's 28 October, 20 December. That pocket, I'm thinking, is somewhat likely we're again in a kind of crisis point with the nuclear weapons. The last time when Russia put nukes on high readiness was back in February, March this year, when Jupiter was in Pisces, Saturn, and Aquarius. So we've already seen it pay, this prediction pay one time. It was this heightened moment of nuclear readiness back in the spring, late winter, spring, early in the war in Ukraine, but we're returning to it. So get yourself psychically prepared and ready to see scary, scary headlines. And just know there's an astrological cause maybe behind this, that the astrological energy is playing a big role here. And that might take some of the pressure and weight and anxiety off as we grapple with these really scary headlines. So, okay, let me come back. Greenwich Village and the birth of the folk movement. So the Cuban Missile Crisis played a really important role in birthing the peace and movements of the 1960s. Agitating for peace in 1962 had nothing to do with Vietnam and everything to do with heading off World War III. It's from this Daily News article. The Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962 was to peaceniks Just one more chilling indication that someday some jerk with a red button was going to barbecue the world. And so it triggered a bunch of music. People were writing all about it, but civil rights and peace was the village folk community. And these crises events triggered movements for peaceniks to say, listen, get these crazy people away from the weapons and let's start asking and being peace and engaging with peace. And so I'm hoping that this could be one potential benefit of whatever's going to go down this fall, that people are just going to wake up and say no and start really advocating for peace kind of aggressively. I've talked about this in other videos, but World Peace Group, peace through meditation and prayer. There's studies that indicate, we can actually affect the world with our thinking, with what we envision. And so I'm thinking, for me personally, as I see these headlines, I really do want to bring it back through prayer almost immediately in my own mind to try to bring peace, meditating to try to lower the crime rate. New York Times, 1993. More of these sort of stories. I've shared these in another video, but I'm just sharing them again. Prayer vigils lowering the crime in Washington, D.C. And so, be thinking about how you will psychically engage when the news gets wild. What will you be advocating for verbally with friends, online, on your social media? How will you respond to a world on the brink and on the edge of a nuclear crisis? Now, this is another transit I just want to point out. One of the highlights of Jupiter back in Pisces, you have this new moon in Sagittarius. I just wanted to show the chart here. I talked about it in my last video, but look at, here's this chart. Just as Jupiter is stationing direct here, 7 degrees from Mars. So Mars is moving away from that Jupiter. The new moon is 20 degrees from Mars. So maybe Mars is less impactful, even though it's also in the mutable axis during this new moon. Still, this is the Jupiter station direct in Pisces new moon. The last time Jupiter will station direct in Pisces or be in Pisces for 11 years. So we can use this moment in November and then this solstice celebration to kind of celebrate Jupiter in our charts, what it's done, the wisdom, the truth that it's brought, what it's engendered in our lives, particularly 23 November, day before Thanksgiving, I believe, in America. You'll have this kind of awesome Jupiter new moon in Sagittarius. And then here's the chart of the 20th. You can see Jupiter will come right back into Aries here within minutes. I screenshotted a chart where it's right at the edge of Pisces, but this is the day. And you can see when it comes back into Aries, you'll have the just another couple of weeks of Mars in Gemini. It's retrograde. When Mars stations direct on the 12th of January, it will rule that Jupiter in Aries. And I'm looking for that second half of January to really feel like we're coming out of the gates of whatever the blocks and delays of the Mars retrograde, whatever this little detour Jupiter's done back into Pisces to get with some of the mutable water feelings and energy to finish its time there. We're really doing go time when we start thinking about late January 2023. So be getting ready for that and be preparing for that. Okay, that's the video. I just wanted to close here with a little update. I have been honored to participate on a YouTube channel called World Astrology Report. My friend Dan Waits, he asked me to come and do a series of 4 videos on his channel where we're breaking down the astrology of the 2020s. We're going to be talking about all kinds of mundane potentials and all kinds of outer planet transits for those that are really interested in the outer planets. That's what Dan really loves. And so we've released the first video 13 hours ago, the astrology of the 2020s, the man who predicted the pandemic, all about Andre Barbeau. Go to World Astrology Report. You can see I'm subscribed. Give Dan a sub. Check out our work. He's a great video editor. He's done a wonderful job. And we're going to be releasing this, I think, every 2 weeks. We've got 3 more to release. So look out for those. And other than that, there's my website, sjanderson144.com. Can come check me out. Got readings. You can check me out there. All my information and links are there. So, check that. Do check that out if you're curious. And yeah, have a wonderful week. A wonderful Jupiter back into Pisces. This week's crazy. This week is like a major week because we have the solar eclipse on the 25th, Jupiter back into Pisces, and then Mars will station retrograde all here in the same week. So strap in and enjoy some really intense astrology. Sometimes it's my favorite time when there's all kinds of crazy astrological stuff going on. It's just like being alive. It really feels good. Take care of yourself. Peace to you. And we will talk very, very soon.